Welcome to Fresh Off the Set. I'm Kari Hawker-Diaz.
And I'm David Osmond. Great to be with you, Kari.
Great to be with you. Okay, you know what's so crazy to me? And it's not too crazy because I know we both feel it as parents.
Yeah.
But the U.S. Surgeon General calls parental stress now an urgent public health issue.
Kids are hazardous for your health.
It is.
Turns out.
Turns out.
But you're supposed to live longer? Is that right?
I mean, who knows? It'd be interesting to look at the statistics of like people who have kids versus not having kids. But honestly, I have to tell you the absolute truth. I had no idea. I mean, you know what you're kind of getting into. You know, it's going to be like you're busier, you're like financially, you're strained. Like when you're having kids, you know a little bit, but like the stress and the worry that I have almost every single day.
Yeah.
Now that we have like social media and now that we have our world is just different, you know, I mean, and you have kids that are a little bit older.
And it's not, we were just singing 80s songs and talking about, the good old days.
The good times.
Maybe that's just a trend that is for every single generation. The one before is just like, back in my day, a little on the rocking swing.
When things were in black and white.
Little rocking chair on the porch and, back in my day. But I don't know. I mean, it does seem like, as I look back as a dad now, and I look at my parents, I'm like, wow, they were babies. They're just kids having kids. And how did they do it? And what did they do wrong? And giving some grace there. And what did I wish I could be better as a dad? And I think there's definitely stresses that definitely my wife and I talk about things all the time. She definitely wears as an empath all the stress of the day. My daughter just broke her leg recently. And my wife was almost completely just in a funk, sad. So the whole day, just because she felt the pain of what she was feeling. And
sure,
so,
you want to take that away from your kids.
My wife definitely carries the stress differently than I carry the stress in different functions and fashions.
Mm-hmm.
I look at my two oldest are girls. I'm looking at, and now they're the tweens and becoming, now driving, getting close to it and having permits and watching the boys come out of the woods and how they're interacting and what they're learning each day and helping them with their homework and trying to my stress is just, am I doing things the right way? There's no playbook on this, is there? Or is there? But this author obviously has some suggestions.
I think you're right on that. And I think that you're not also alone in feeling, are we doing the right thing as a parent? Are we too hard on them? Are we not, giving them enough discipline? Are we sending them to the right school? Are we putting them in the right extracurricular activities? I mean, there's so many things. And like, I think when I think about that, and we all feel it as parents, right? At some point, I think when it comes down to it, it just means we're trying to do the best that we can because we love them.
Yeah. Beyond what I can even explain. I mean, that love is so deep. They're my favorite people. And whenever I have free time, we hang out as a group. So I'm so grateful for my kids, my wife. Like our family unit is beautiful. And I'm trying to be, okay, what role as dad am I supposed to play as far as, of course, mentor, leader, but also not so helicopter parent. I want to let them explore and fail fast so they can hopefully learn from that. To see them fall, make mistakes, or just have frustrations and stresses they're having. It just, I'm feeling it too. Like, man, it's parenting.
It's hard out there for a parent.
It really is.
And a lot of people
being able to share with each other and just kind of come together on common ground and let's say, hey, we're not alone. And other people totally get it. And each kid is totally different too. So it's a wild way to parent each one of them. Some need a little more extra time tucking in. Others ones are more independent as far as dealing with an emotional challenge because someone looked at them the wrong way. It is a moving target.
It is a moving target. Every day is different, though. It's so true. Well, I talked with Florence Ann Romano about this. She shares like practical advice for parents to get that support that they need to reduce that stress and that overwhelm that we are currently experiencing. So maybe this can help you a little bit, help you smile, help you have some peace. Should we just give it a listen?
I am all ears.
Let's do it. I am really excited to chat with Florence today on such an important topic. Florence, thank you for joining me.
I'm thrilled to be here, and I do agree. Such an important topic. I probably hear about it daily.
Yes, honestly, it's so true. Okay, let's start here. The U.S. Surgeon General recently labeled parental stress as an urgent public health issue. Can you explain what led to this classification and why it's so significant?
Well, parents are really the first demographic that you're going to look at when it comes to overwhelming amounts of stress. And I have to tell you, anytime I talk to friends, family, anyone that has children, and I quote this, what the U.S. Surgeon General says, they say, oh my gosh, I totally get that. I totally feel that. And the reason is because this demographic of parents, they're understanding the external and internal stressors of that, the financial strain, the time demands, the pressure technology and social media puts on them, the cultural expectations. So I think when you're looking at this warning, it doesn't take a long time to peel back that onion and see exactly why that feels so true, because it is so true.
That's a really good point. And you know what, according to recent data, even nearly half of American parents, so half of us, are experiencing overwhelming stress. What are some of the primary stressors, would you say?
Well, as we talked about a little bit regarding the external factors, the finances and the time and the pressure, and it's funny as we look at just even the time that we're in right now, the season that we're in right now. I had a mom say to me the other day, "Oh, I did not decorate for Halloween the way that I should have. My neighbors did such a better job. They have all these cute decorations and I feel like I'm ruining the holiday for my kids." And I said, you know what? That exactly right there. That is the case study right there that shows you the demands that you're putting on yourself, because that internal monologue for that mom is, I'm ruining my child's holiday. I'm not stacking up like these other parents are. And they're comparing themselves to everything they're seeing externally. Maybe it is the neighbor next door. Maybe it is on social media, but you're comparing yourself constantly. And I think that stress, that is kind of that subconscious stress that we go to sleep with at night. And we wonder why our hearts feel so heavy and our minds feel so full, because we're not actually paying attention to where those stressors are coming from, but they're seeping in and they're changing our behaviors and they're changing how we speak to ourselves and also our reactions to these outside factors as well.
Gosh, it's so true. We put so much pressure on ourselves as parents. Yeah. And yet you have like Halloween, Christmas, holidays, and parents are, trying to just do it all. And we can't do it all. And so then you're comparing yourself with like, oh, this parent did this and this child has this and I didn't do that. So it makes you feel less than sometimes. So we're putting it on ourselves. So can you elaborate a little bit on that like trickle down effect of parental stress on children and how it can affect their mental health and development?
Mm-hmm. I think we forget that a lot of what we feel waterfalls onto other people. And that's not even just children, but in this case, we will speak to children specifically. Energy is contagious, as they say. You can't destroy it, right? Energy can't be destroyed, and it kind of permeates everything around you. And I think we forget that these tiny little minds and hearts, they're paying attention to what it feels like, the environment of the home or your mood. And, growing up with, I had a dad that kind of was this way. His mood kind of influenced everybody else's mood. You got to walk on eggshells a little bit sometimes, depending on how the mood was. And I remember that thickness of how that felt. And I think children, are very aware of when something doesn't feel good that way. And I'm not saying we as parents or adults have to constantly shield our children from real feelings or emotions. Of course, that's all real and true, and they have to learn about those things as they grow up. What I do think we need to protect them from, though, is our stuff all of a sudden having to become their stuff. And I heard it said once, do your healing, heal yourself so your kids don't have to heal from you. And that was so profound to me. And I know that that's maybe, stretching this out a bit into maybe a different topic that we could talk about, but this trickle down effect really stems from that saying. You need to be taking care of yourself, putting your oxygen mask on yourself first in order to care for others. And that's very important in terms of this trickle down effect. If you are allowing your stuff, again, to become their stuff, your children's stuff, then that's going to implicate them on their journey and also how they are processing and how they are now starting to experience what emotional and mental and health well-being actually is. I'm not seeing necessarily a positive example of it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. Kids are so smart. And,
intuitive and they just feel everything. And it is so important to not let that trickle down as much as we can onto them, because then they're carrying the weight of it. Your book, Build Your Village, emphasizes the importance of community support. How can parents begin to build their own quote unquote village, and what does that look like in practical terms?
Well, I always laugh. I love that you say in practical terms, because people will say to me, was there a phone number to call for this village? Or did right? Or they just show up at your front door with a casserole ready to help you raise your kids?
Yeah, where's this village? Happening? Where is it?
Yeah, exactly. Where is this village? You know, so I understand. And so that's really why I wrote the book, is I really wanted to create a roadmap for it. And I started thinking about what my own life looks like. And it's kind of all of our lives like a movie or a play. You're casting characters. You're casting people into these roles. And I'm a visual learner. I wanted people to be able to look and think, okay, this is how I can categorize these people. And so I created 6 archetypes in the book of villagers that you identify with. You think to yourself, okay, who am I of these 6 people, and who do I need of these 6 people? Because I'm going to tell you something. This work cannot be just about gimme, gimme, gimme. I need my, people to show up for me and help me. I also need to think about how I show up for others. This is a reciprocal business. And so the 6 archetypes that I have, and I won't go through all of them in major detail, but they're accepting, dependable, cheerleader, communicator, organizer, and healer. And I always say that very fast at first, because people, I can usually see on their faces, start casting people in those roles based on just the context clues of what they think those people stand for. Those
totally.
6 archetypes, right?
Yeah.
You're already doing it.
Yep.
You're like, yeah, I probably know who my accepting person is. But here's the truth. If you don't have all 6 of those people, and you can have like 9 accepting villagers, 6 organizers, it can all, shake out a different way. But if you're saying to yourself, I don't have all 6 of these people, that doesn't mean you don't have a functioning village. You have to think about, if I am missing something in my life right now, if I'm feeling depleted, I'm feeling disconnected, I'm feeling unseen, or I'm, feeling unsupported, look at those 6 and think, you know what? Maybe I am missing that cheerleader. Maybe that's a place I need to be intentional in my relationship building right now. And maybe that's going to lead to you repairing some of these places in your life that you are feeling disconnected. Or perhaps you have the right people sitting in the wrong seats. You're not setting up your friends for the success that they could possibly bring to the table for you, because you're depending on them for the wrong things. So this, again, can go, even deeper. We can peel back that onion even farther. But the first step to really building that village is figuring out who currently exists and what is missing, and what do I need to change about the structure of what currently exists.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Is one more important than the other? Are they all equally just as important as the other?
It's like a favorite child, right? Which one of those 6 is your favorite? People always ask me, and I always say I don't have a favorite, but I do say the accepting villager, the first one I mentioned, that's usually the first place you start. The accepting villager is the non-judgmental one. I always say it's the person you're going to probably confide in and tell a problem to, or confess a secret. That's a really good foundation for that. For people when you start building that village. But I also think in our world today, the healer is very important. The healer is the person that walks through whatever the it is in your life. They're not there to fix you or fix the situation, but they're consciously compassionate, and they're standing right next to you through it. And I think that support and that level of emotional support, because that's not just physical, that really is a game changer for a lot of people today, especially in a world where we talk more about our emotional and mental health.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Okay, so I'm guessing your book dives into all of those a lot more, so we can get, if we want to build your village. Okay. Oh, that's so good. Okay. How can parents create more reasonable expectations for themselves and their children, especially in today's fast-paced, perfection-driven society?
Well, first of all, I am the doom scroller. I think a lot of people probably will relate to this with social media. We're, sit there and I'm telling myself right now, maybe everyone else needs a little bit of this advice too. I have told myself that I am not allowed to go on social media between meetings. I have to read instead. I have to take a book out, like a physical book, and read instead. And I actually think it's a game changer. So that's a little tip in case anyone needs one.
I like that a lot.
So try that today. But, going back to your original question, how do we alleviate this in the parental community, especially, and feeling that pressure? I want to remind parents that no is a complete sentence. And I need this reminder a lot in my life too, that you don't have to explain yourself when you decide not to do something. Maybe you're going to decide not to go to that soccer practice. You're not going to go to that family event this weekend, or you're not going to go on that trip that maybe was planned. And I'm using larger examples and smaller examples, but maybe you're at capacity in your life right now, and you need to start trimming some of that. I hate to call it that, but you need to start trimming some of those obligations because you are overwhelmed. And I know it's hard to disappoint people. I get it. We all are people pleasers in some sort of way, but that's where we get into trouble, where we do start to put everyone else's feelings before our own. So that is my charge to you today. If you're feeling this way out there and listening and saying, yes, this resonates, I think you need to start looking at the places you can say no. And you have to be okay knowing that people are going to be disappointed, but it's not your job to manage that emotion for them.
Oh, that's so good. I think that really is one of the hardest things for most people is not having or feeling like you have to explain it. But it's interesting if you think about it on the flip side. If I invite somebody to do something and they can't go, I don't need an explanation. It's not like I need, if they can't go, just let me know. And I'm never judging or, and I think most people are that way where we don't need that explanation. But sometimes on the other side, when you're saying no, you feel like you do need to explain.
Right. Because there's that guilt, we all kind of have that hardwired guilt, about it.
Yep.
But, and I think that's where we also start to trip ourselves up, is we're so worried about how we're going to express this this feeling, or this commitment, or or backing out of something, whatever it might be, and we're worried about, again, how that person's going to feel, or how that person's going to think of us, how they're going to judge us.
Right.
And like you said, more often than not, they're going to be very understanding. But again, we get in our own way about that.
So true. And you know what? And many parents especially struggle with like the guilt when asking for help. What advice do you have for parents to overcome this guilt and reach out when we need it?
I always laugh because people say public speaking is like the number one fear people have in the world. And I get that. That makes sense, right? A lot of people fear that. I think something that is maybe tied or even worse than that is asking for help. I think asking for help is something people are very, very afraid to do. And there are things about our society that have evolved into a really great place where there's a lot more authenticity. But I think also we are at a place where we don't necessarily see that we're able to ask for that help and know that we're worthy of it, that it doesn't mean that we're a failure, and that we are meant for people, that we are wired for that. And, you look back, and I talk about this in the book too, that we started out in this world, in our culture, in these villages with people helping. And we've moved away from that as time has gone by, because the nuclear family perhaps looks a little different now. But I always say that you need to take old school and new school and blend it. Not everything that was done back then was a bad thing. And I think that's one of the things we do need to bring back, is seeing that the idea of village and people and community and helping one another actually sets us up for more success and actually makes us healthy healthier people. And there's a lot of data that actually supports that in terms of fighting against loneliness in our world today. And we're dealing with an epidemic in our world of loneliness today, and a friendship recession, and why dementia is more rampant today. Also, too, because loneliness expedites that. So, I want us to look and see that asking for help really is a sign of strength instead of weakness.
So true. Good reminder. It's a strength instead of weakness. And going along, that same line, going a little deeper, what kind of strategies can parents use to communicate their needs effectively, and their support networks, whether it's like family, friends, or community members?
I think it's all about the delivery in terms of how you're asking for that help. Think about all the different places in life that we need it. My sister right now just had a baby. She has a newborn, and she was already worried before she was having the baby about, having to ask people for help and knowing that eventually she would need it. Right.
Yeah.
And so now she's, really realizing when she's in the thick of it, she calls, texts me, my mom, or someone, and says, can someone come over and hold this baby for a few minutes so I can, take a nap or do this. Then we live close, so it's good to be able to do that. But there's also ways to do that and help people when you're not in the vicinity. An example, when someone's having a surgery or just had a baby, or there's a death in the family, or a life transition, or a loss of a job, there's a way to virtually show up for people. Maybe you're going to send them a gift card for a meal. You're going to send them a meal. You're going to make sure you set up, a week's worth of meals, or you're going to go there yourself and help, or you're going to say, regardless of, what you have going on, I'm here, I'm showing up, use me, let me help. It's about being thoughtful. And that's the truth. And that's from the people who are looking to show up and help, but you asking for the help. Again, the delivery is important. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need and be specific about it. And I think to kind of wrap up that point of it too, people are worried that if you ask for help, you're going to be keeping score. It's going to be a tit for tat situation. You're going to have this debt that you have to repay to someone. And that's not how friendship should work. If you can release that idea that they're not going to be keeping score about you asking for help or you having to show up for them, then you're going to be more inclined to do it. And when we don't ask for help, that's when our mental health suffers. And that's when we can even get into very scary territory where our mind starts lying to us about us being worthy of love and acceptance.
So true. Yeah, prioritizing our mental health. And, that leads into my next question, actually. How does prioritizing parental mental health ultimately benefit not only families, but also communities at large?
Again, putting that oxygen mask on yourself first before you can help other people.
Yeah.
That's really what it looks like. It's that visual. Because in order for us to serve, I always say, I don't know the meaning of life, but I know my meaning of life is to live in service of others. In order for me to do that, I know that I'm going to have to prioritize myself in some way, shape, or form, and whatever that looks like. And maybe that is saying no. Maybe that is asking for help. Maybe that is scheduling time for fun or the things that bring me joy, whatever it might be, and not being afraid to say that out loud. And I think that that's also a big piece of that is in order for us to show up for our communities, we do need to be taking care of ourselves. And we also need to be learning from what we're seeing around us. And also surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded and have similar values to you, that are going to be teaching you these lessons and challenging you with these things. You have to think about also who is influencing you in your life. And is that changing your behavior? Is it for good, for bad, whatever it might be? I think that all really affects how we show up in our communities and how we take care of ourselves, the company we keep.
So true. Very, very true. Okay. And for listeners who may be feeling that overwhelm, like someone listening right now thinking, I'm feeling so overwhelmed, I don't really know where to start, what resources or tools would you recommend for immediate support and relief?
Well, the first thing I want you to do is know that you're worthy of asking for this help and looking for a safe place to do that. whether it is that you have friends that you can turn to or family, or maybe this is going to be the moment you decide you're going to reach out for more professional help. Maybe it's going to be a counselor, maybe it's going to be someone through your church or your community, but find out where you're going to be able to let the air out of the tires a bit. There is a place in life, I always say, when you feel out of control, that you can take control. And that is one of the places you can do it. Looking for those safe places for you to be able to be honest about how you're feeling, that is going to be the first step for you to actually start figuring out how to solve the problem. But you're going to have to go somewhere first to do it and figure out if that's a person, a place, whatever it is. But know that you're worthy of taking that time to decide where you're going to go with this feeling and with this information.
Definitely. Absolutely. Great advice. And as someone with a wealth of experience in childcare and family support, what insights have you gained about the importance of community in parenting?
Oh, goodness. This could be a whole different show probably if I was going to go into it. The quickest story, when I was a nanny back in the day, I had a family whose daughter was really struggling with feeling like she was disappointing her parents and the pressure was too much on her. And she revealed that to me one night, a very tearful night, laying on the bathroom floor with me. And she said, I just can't do it. I just don't know how to do this anymore. And I feel like I'm failing everyone and everything. And I went to the parents and said, this is a conversation I had with your daughter, and I think we need to figure out a way to work on this together. I needed to keep her not keep it a secret, but keep her trust, but also be able to go to the parents and say, I'm seeing something here that is worrying me, and let's figure this out together. And we were able to figure it out together. But the mom said to me at one point, you're going to see and hear things that maybe I don't as a parent. And I need you, to be honest with me, and thank you for being honest with me. But that was a great example of coming together as, me, who's the outsider, as the nanny, coming to the parents and saying, we can work on this together. And that's community. I mean, even though I was, an employee of the family, that is still exactly what that was. It was still saying, I'm willing to listen and hear what you're going to tell me, and I'm not going to be insulted by it. I am not going to feel like you're attacking me as a parent. But let's really brainstorm this. So community is important in whatever shape it shows up in your life, and knowing that the right people are not going to be there to shame you about how you're doing or what you're doing, but they're to hold up a mirror in some ways when maybe you need to look at something that maybe you're avoiding or unaware of. That's a beautiful thing about community. But again, you can say what you mean and not say it mean. It's all about the delivery.
All about the delivery. You can say what you mean, but don't do it mean. That's so good. So good. Okay, Florence, what final message would you like to share with parents who are currently experiencing high levels of stress?
You are not alone, that's for sure. And that if anything that you take away from this conversation, it's that you know that you are worthy of prioritizing your mental health. And if anything else, know that all the beautiful things you want to accomplish in your life and with your family, it is going to stem from you taking care of yourself. And so please do that. Please know that you deserve it. And however that looks, invest in it. Invest that time or the money or the resources, whatever it is, because a lot does fall on your shoulders as the parent. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of others.
Oh, thank you for the amazing advice. Such good reminders to take care of ourselves better so we can be there for other people. We got to take care of ourselves first, though. Always first. Where can we follow you for more?
At FlorenceAnn.com. My book is available there, or anywhere books are sold, and also social media, Florence Ann Romano. I answer every DM I get, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And if today, right now, you're saying, I've hit my breaking point, I need to reach out to someone, reach out to me. I could be the first step you take.
Oh, you're awesome. And your book, reminding everyone, is called Build Your Village. I'm definitely going to pick that one up. That sounds so interesting to me. So thank you for chatting with us today, Florence. We appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you for the good you do in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you at home for listening to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and we will see you next week.
Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.